Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Benjamin Alter, and I am with our co-host, Dr. Susanna.
Hi, everyone.
And if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. This is not your ordinary podcast episode. This is a little bit special. Every odd episode, we do an Alter Your Health live, where we are live on Facebook and Instagram talking about, various health topics. That's not really what we're doing today. We are not live. We are pre-recording this, and we are having a conversation that is a little bit different than what would typically be done on one of these episodes, where I'm interviewing maybe a specialist, someone who's an expert in some field who shares a different perspective on health and healing. Today, Dr. Susanna and I, we are just going to be sitting down and having a conversation about really what we should have maybe introduced to you guys months ago, or like a long time ago. And because why that's the case is because we really feel it's the most important stuff that one can know with regard to healing naturally, addressing health holistically. So we're just going to have a little heart-to-heart on something that we are both super duper passionate about. So anyways, let's dive into this conversation, Susanna.
Sounds good, Dr. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Where would you like us to start?
Well, I want to start with what, the intention is to share kind of what we have gathered over our practice, working with individuals and supporting people in healing naturally. I feel like there is kind of a blanket statement that we could provide the whole wide world that would totally awesomely benefit their health,
It's funny because usually when you hear the word blanket statement, it's like
not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, people don't like blanket statements, but that being said, every conversation that's had on a podcast kind of is a blanket statement, and people take it for what it's worth. And so I think that a lot of times conversations get really nitty-gritty, nuanced in the details. And the same is true for just the practice of medicine, either conventionally or oftentimes naturally and functionally. We can just get hyper-focused on a problem and try to figure out how to fix it and remedy it as quickly as possible. And I think that we have observed that that's not how natural healing really happens. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It happens over time, and it happens through the aggregate of choices that are made on an ongoing basis, not just taking a pill in the morning or taking some remedy or doing some practice at some point in the day.
Right. Yeah, I think we can both agree that the cases where we really see our patients and clients getting better, reversing disease, those are the cases where the patients are really taking charge of their health, really taking responsibility for their health, and really, recognizing that reversing disease is not going to be as simple as taking a pill. It's not going to be as simple as receiving some, treatment. It's really a lifestyle effort, as
Totally.
we say.
And that has, of course, made way to the whole field of lifestyle medicine, which is seeing medicine, seeing health as something that is addressed with the whole life. And I think that there are more and more people opening up to that and living into that. And still, a lot of people are doing so in a reductionistic or maybe limited mindset of, I'm taking, I'm eating this in order to feel this way, and I'm moving this way in order to accomplish this goal or task. And it's very goal oriented. The practice of medicine in general it's like, all right, someone comes in, they've got symptoms, and whatever the remedy is, we want to, follow the symptoms and see that they're hopefully resolving or lessening.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, but I guess where I want to add to my previous statement of, the cases we see where people get better and take charge of their health, it's become more and more clear to me that really, taking control of your health, taking responsibility of your health, and addressing all of these lifestyle factors, the foundations of health, is really the only way to reverse disease for real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that is the message that we are hoping to make in this conversation. That really, when we're talking about sustainable, natural, holistic medicine, there's one way of going about that. And obviously, that looks different for each individual, but the facets and pieces are very much the same. And we call those the determinants of health. And they're the things that everybody just totally knows, common sense. It's fun having conversations with people, and sometimes I feel like we're in second grade. Like, did you drink water today? Oh, you forgot to drink water? Oh, is that why you have a headache? Okay.
Right, but we see these cases where the one obstacle to that person getting better is because there is some, they're drinking some toxic source of water, or they're not drinking enough water.
Right.
And so even though these things, they sound so elementary and mundane, it is so powerful, and it could be the key for someone getting better.
Well, like we're saying, it not only can it be, it always is. It's always something, or a combination of things.
Yeah. So wait, let's talk about what they are, because we're talking about these determinants of health, these foundational pieces of health. What are they?
I do want to, of course, talk about what they are, but what's also coming to mind, because I think it's easy to wrap our minds around, these acute things that might happen. Like I gave the example of, you forgot to drink water and you get a headache. But what happens when you're suboptimally hydrating for a few decades? Then what happens? Then that sets up the body to harbor, a disease, or to develop liver stagnation or lymphatic stagnation, and just develop these toxicities that build up and overflow at some point. And then we experience maybe an acute onset of something, but really that has been developing over the course of a lifetime. And we are always quick to look at, okay, well, what did you eat, yesterday or last week? Or did you drink anything, abnormal? Did you sleep well? And of course, we need to look in the short term for potential, real acute causes. But usually, it is the combination of a whole host of things that are just building up day after day after day for decades.
Such a good point. It is, such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, it takes some courage to look at your life and think, okay, I haven't really been living aligned with nature. And this is the consequence. The way that I'm feeling right now, my weight, my disease, whatever it may be, that is a consequence of simply not living aligned with nature. And I think that the first step that is really difficult to take, and it's always difficult to take regardless of the individual, it's just taking that real honest look at how we are living. Because without that honest baseline perspective, how in the heck is anyone supposed to do anything differently?
Right.
So anyways, let's talk about the determinants of health. That, once again, I think that people are going to be like, oh, duh.
How could this be such powerful medicine? But
that is the message that we're hoping to convey, that, these determinants of health are the most powerful forms of medicine. And they're the only, like you said, the only forms of medicine that are truly curative when we understand the hierarchy of healing, which is, maybe something we can also share the power of that perspective in the healing process.
Yeah, so the determinants of health, as we mentioned, they're going to sound pretty basic to you. They are air. Not to you, to our listeners.
Yeah.
They are air. So looking at the quality of the air that you breathe, and also, how, not only the quality of the air you breathe, but the quality of your breath. Water, quality of your water.
Yeah, maybe we can take a pause after each determinant of health and come up with some if anything comes to mind, some examples of how these determinants of health have been powerful in our lives, or how we've seen them be powerful in clients or friends or family members.
Great example, or great idea.
So breath and air.
Well, I have an example.
Okay, yeah, Susanna has a great example for this one.
It's actually one of my own stories.
Right, yeah,
yes.
I'm familiar.
Mm-hmm. So when I moved to Portland, Oregon, my first year of medical school, I developed a sore throat. And I thought, just like everyone else around me, okay, I was getting sick because I was stressed and that this would be over in 2 weeks or so. But it just continued on for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, just chronic sore throat. And I was going to the doctors, my naturopathic doctors, and they were testing me for infectious causes and treating me with immune stimulating herbs, and nothing was working. And then one day I had a conversation. I was actually overhearing a conversation of someone saying, I can't study in the library anymore. It's like too musty and moldy in there. It's totally like acting up my allergies. And it clicked. Oh my gosh. Sore throat can be a sign of mold allergy. So, and there was definitely mold growing in my basement at that time. So I stopped going into the library. Whenever I went down to my basement, I actually wore a mask to filter out the air that I breathed in. And within like a week, my sore throat was better.
Yeah.
So, air.
Who would have thought that the air you breathe is important? And that's a great example of kind of like an acute sort of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But then we think about, okay, well, there are people who are living in their toxic homes, lighting their scented candles and using their artificial fragrances and cleaning products that are aerosolized compounds that we're breathing in, and we don't have we don't have a window open. There's no breeze coming through. We're hardly ever walking in the fresh air. We're hardly ever outdoors in the trees where nature's air is naturally purified. So that can set us up for significant damage as well in like a different way as your story.
Yeah.
But moving on to water.
Another basic thing.
Obviously, the quality of the water and also the quantity of the hydration. And if we just consider that, oh my gosh, like so many people are drinking coffee in the morning, a few cups, drinking alcohol at night, a few glasses, and maybe having a couple glasses of water in between the two, or maybe a couple cans of soda as well. That really is the perfect scenario for chronic dehydration, and that over the course of days, weeks, months, years, decades is really and then people get blood clots, or people have some acute onset of some chronic condition. And it's like, where'd this come from? Oh, maybe the 10 cups of coffee a day for the last 25 years, plus the, 6 cups of whiskey most nights or whatever. Anyway, that's a dramatic example. But in my case, I'll share my story briefly. I, living in Portland as well, was drinking the tap water. I was told that Portland had some of the cleanest tap water out of any city in the country. So I was like, cool, give it to me. Never filtered my water in Portland, even though there were a lot of surrounding springs that sometimes I would drink from and fill up bottles. But I was drinking, 99% tap water. And I was just struggling with kind of low-grade chronic skin outbreaks. And I knew that stress was definitely one thing that would trigger some acne on my face. But I also knew there was something more, and I just started drinking exclusively filtered or spring water. And,
and let me interrupt and say, too, that, you were eating an immaculate diet.
Right.
You were moving. You were doing everything else to take care of yourself.
Yeah, sometimes, let's face it, not oftentimes skin is totally directly a consequence of the water we're drinking. It's usually also some element of food and other toxicities that we're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it was,
I
maybe
feel like
the
your
yeah.
example was kind of like, it wasn't totally a controlled study, of course, not by any means, but it's like all the other determinants in your life were
Pretty
basically,
sound.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. And the water was the one thing that really needed the fine tuning.
Right. So that, more or less cleared things up. And my skin still, to this day, as we were just talking about, is very much a barometer of what's going on in my body. Whenever I eat sugar, which I did yesterday, I was given a couple of, homemade little muffin things, and I was like, thank you. And I had one, and then I looked, she had like the ingredients on it, and there was sugar. And I was like, oh, I've already eaten one. Why don't I, I'll just eat a few more. They're little bites, And now I've got a couple of some, pimples to show for it.
Well, so that maybe is a good segue to bring us to our third determinant, food.
Of course,
I mean, we talk about food so much in our podcast. I feel like maybe we don't need to.
Right, we're not going to beat a dead horse.
Right. However, I think that what is maybe lacking from our podcast is a real thorough step-by-step nutrition lesson. I feel like people can get little snippets here, little snippets there within the conversation, but I feel like for people to really, really change their way of eating to support the reversal of disease, sometimes there needs to be a deeper understanding. Would
so
you
want
agree?
to do that now?
No, but I'm just setting you up for maybe something we're going to announce at the end of this conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about something later. But yes, I think that people are told. What I hear you saying is that people are told to eat this, don't eat that, but not this. People are told these kind of rules around nutrition, and most of the time, we feel them, they resonate, they make sense, or they sound kooky, and we just kind of go with that. And I think that, like you said, there is a foundational lack of understanding of how the body works, how food is broken down from the moment it enters your mouth to provide the energy and building blocks for every cell of the body. There is this lack. It's all a magic trick as far as most people are concerned. And it is, there is a lot of unknown factors that, from the moment we put food in our mouth until, it comes out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, yeah, we do know a whole lot of nutritional science that, people spend their lifetimes studying and writing research papers. And for the most part, I think that a lot of people love to dwell on the 2 or 3% of information that is still controversial. But I think that there is 97 or 98% of information that is really solid, totally concrete, evidence-based, just how things work.
And I think that the more people understand why eating certain foods helps their body heal, they're going to be more inclined to make those changes in their lives.
I know that was certainly the case for me.
Exactly. So that's why it's like when we are working one-on-one with clients, I spend so much time wanting to teach them about why, and then time runs up because there's not enough time. And,
right.
And so...
And it's because it's so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because people do spend their lifetimes understanding, getting PhDs in, nutritional science, and then we just trust the, headlines in a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the PhD level, evidence-based science that we should be looking at for our nutritional recommendations. So yeah, there is this disconnect from, even the government dietary guidelines that are often paid for by big food industries and whatnot. They're not that clean and pure. But when we do understand, once again, these basic laws of nature, how the body works, how food is digested, how cells use that, fuel to create energy, then we are much more aware and empowered in terms of, making those changes. Like you said, it's really hard to just say, oh yeah, eat more vegetables because you need to. Right. And, but why? I think maybe that just do this because it's good for you. Maybe that level of information hits about 5 or 6% of people. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I think the vast majority anyway are more curious about, well, really, like, what's going on and why do I need to do this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so then our fourth determinant of health is movement. Let's talk about movement
Sure.
for a brief second.
Wait, what are they again?
Air,
water,
water.
movement. Air, water, food, movement.
So movement is definitely an important one.
Well, the last podcast episode, which was episode number 117, this is episode number 118. The last episode was all about movement. So yeah, we're not going to dwell on this one. If you are curious about more specific movements and why, and some of the science around that, yeah, we can go into that, or you can go back and listen to episode 117.
But I will point out what's really great about that episode is that Ben guides us through all of the health benefits, not the body composition benefits. It's not about
so funny.
Weight loss. It's not about building muscle and having a sexy body, because really the important thing about exercising is supporting your health, not about perfecting appearance.
Yeah.
And so
we got through the 30-minute conversation on movement in episode 117, and you pointed out, yeah, I love how there's nothing about weight loss. And I was like, oh yeah, forgot about that, byproduct of moving your body.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, the entry point for 98% of people. They move their body because they want to lose weight or maintain weight. And that really shouldn't be the focus of movement. Well, I guess I shouldn't say what it should be, but people are going to move for whatever reasons. But I think it's really important to connect with the health benefits, not just some superficial, shorter term outcome or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then okay, so we've talked about these physical determinants of health.
We
Now
like to break it into physical and not so physical.
Right. Now we're moving into the realm of mind. And so the next determinant of health is thought. This is a huge, huge, huge topic.
Yeah.
But there's more and more real science coming out showing the connection between the mind and the body.
Yeah, well, I like to remind people that it's really the brain-body connection, and the mind, or the brain and the mind are very much different entities.
Yes.
The mind is non-local, and the brain is within our skull. And that being said, I like when people talk about the human being and the brain maybe as being like an antenna to receive signals from a greater mind, because I think that there is more and more evidence suggesting that is certainly the case. They're not separate.
Right.
Yeah.
But so why thought is so important in the healing process and creating a strong foundation of health is because, our thoughts are the starting point of our behaviors.
Yes.
And how we take care of our body. And oftentimes, I see the biggest obstacle to people getting better is some kind of stuck, rigid thought process that they're not aware of, so they can't let go of.
And typically that stuck, rigid thought process is, or often can be, just the diagnosis or the symptom itself.
It can be, yeah.
I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I have IBS. I have fill in the blank. And people are just reaffirming this thought and re-ingraining this thought to the point it becomes a very rigid belief. And that, that's often a place to at least look and start. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen this a few times, especially with GI issues when people are put on a strict,
I
diet.
can't eat that.
I can't eat that. I can't eat anything. It'll totally make me flare up, and that just perpetuates the.
I couldn't either if I was in that state of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is just one brief example of how thoughts can really impact our health.
Yeah.
But when we really deeply understand how to relate with thoughts in a way so that they don't have complete control over us, that's when we can leverage our thought to really serve us and support us in healing.
Yeah. And obviously, when we're talking about thought, when we're talking about mind, we're talking also about our mental health and mental well-being and our state of mind. And that is not separate from our physical health and physical well-being. And I have real connection with that when, I slip into moods, and then my mood influences my behavior, and then my behavior influences my physical feeling, and then it can become a perpetual cycle. But the way out is not the sustainable and reliable way out is not just through willpower and just trying to force yourself out with some miraculous mechanism or something like that. The sustainable and reliable way out that I'm experiencing and feeling in my life is like you say, Susanna, understanding the mind and understanding really where these sabotaging thoughts are coming from, understanding that thoughts really are just formless energy, and they actually don't need to manifest physically. They can just kind of go through. And the more I hang on to this thought, and the more I make this thought mean something, the more I dig myself into this cycle. So yeah, I've been experiencing that in my life for sure, and it is empowering to live from that place and to also share this level of understanding with people and watch them kind of shift as well.
Definitely.
It's hard to pinpoint it because a shift, an insight, a change can happen in the mind of someone, and then that immediately translates into it's hard to grasp. It's so fleeting, and it's hard to say oh, I feel better today because I shifted my mindset.
That's true.
That's not something we jump to. It's people
That's
jump
true.
to
However,
oh, I feel better because I slept well. Oh, I feel better because I drank water today.
Right. Although, I think when people do begin to have more awareness around how their thoughts impact their health, they can see that when they receive strong, powerful insights and they see how that affects their health, then then they say, oh my gosh, I realized that I was stuck in this thought process that was keeping me in the cycle of, having unhealthy habits, and now I can let go of that. So anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, so air, water, food, movement, thought, and now relationships.
Closely related to thoughts. And, if we think about relationships, if we think about all of these determinants of health, they really are ways of fueling the body or ways of draining the body of energy. And I see this very clearly with relationships especially. There are those relationships that fuel us up. There are relationships that, I'm sure we can all think of someone where we spend time with them and we just feel a little bit drained.
And this comes back to our thoughts, because it is not necessarily the relationships in and of themselves that drain our energy.
Right.
But it's our thoughts of those relationships, our interpretation of that relationship that can be draining to the energetically.
Right.
And
at the same time, this doesn't mean you need to be friends with everyone and get along with everyone and feel peace and joy and energy around everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have exactly. Yeah, exactly. We can choose our way in and out of relationships, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to break up with anyone and everyone who is not serving us energetically, but it means that we can take care of ourselves in a way that, through communicating with that person, through saying no at times, through saying yes to yourself. And I think that a lot of people, I know a couple, a lot of people just tend to be really, people pleasers. And a lot of people tend to be people pleasers. And that can, that people pleasing kind of mentality can, be, maybe nourishing relationships on some superficial level, but it can be energetically draining relationships with oneself.
It's true. And then we can look at just how important it is to stay connected with one another in our world. We see that loneliness is actually, one of the biggest risk factors for dying earlier. And so, it's just, I think for a lot of people, they don't consider looking at relationships when they think about how can I overall support my healing process.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask, I know when I ask people about their relationships, they say, oh, whatever, there's some, some good, good days and bad days. And that's great that we are able to at least acknowledge that, okay, relationships can have their ups and downs, yes. But really, I think there is that disconnect of the relationship feelings and emotions and energies and attachments and connections with those feelings is totally influencing health. It's I think it would be really hard to be in a totally toxic, abusive sort of relationship and thrive. I think that's just kind of the main point.
Exactly.
Someone can thrive to X degree, they can do their best given the status of the relationship, but a toxic relationship. But if we nourish that relationship and, maybe cut ties with those that are no longer serving us, then we might be able to allow ourselves even greater levels of health.
Yes. Okay, so then our last determinant of health is purpose. And this is a powerful one that I think is often overlooked as well.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about purpose, we always like to talk about it in terms of primary purpose and secondary purpose.
I do love that. And that is the teaching, at least for me, it's the teaching of Eckhart Tolle. Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. Thank you, Eckhart. You're the man. I love you. And I love Eckhart's teaching of primary purpose, which really unites all human beings as awakening into our essence. And that is a perpetual, ongoing, moment-to-moment, day-to-day process. That's the reason we're alive. And it's hard to escape from that primary purpose. We're in it. We signed up for it. We're here. That's what we're doing. But the more we connect with that, the more we have that perspective and guiding energy behind our actions and behaviors, and the more we can kind of see down on our life from that vantage point, I think the more it allows us to thrive.
Exactly.
And then there's the secondary purpose.
Right. And so when we talk about the secondary purpose, we're really talking more about what role that divine being having a human experience sees themselves in. So,
and that can change, day to day.
Right. But, a lot of times the human brain, we like to structure it around things like, being a teacher, being a mother, being a doctor.
I am this, I am that.
Exactly. And a lot of people can really resonate with that feeling of, yes, I am living my purpose, or I just don't feel like I'm really living my purpose.
Right. So I love, people who feel disconnected from their purpose, their secondary purpose. I think that the way through that disconnection is connecting with the primary purpose.
Yes, most definitely.
Because we can't find our secondary purpose if we're not feeling connected with our primary purpose.
It's so true. And when these, purposes align, yes, when we feel that connection with purpose, there's, a sense of just wellness and relaxation that can kind of wash over a person's body and really stimulate that healing response. And I know I experienced this.
Yeah. What comes to me is kind of the alignment of chakras,
Yes.
which is something we don't talk about much, but it's like when those energy centers of the body are aligned, when they're flowing, when they're spinning, we're on purpose.
Right.
We
It's
are
true.
on purpose.
It's true.
But yeah, you've got your great story of kind of when your health shifted was really when you connected with a purpose.
I mean, I went from feeling just chronically achy in my joints, bloated, just so much gastrointestinal distress, and on top of that, so much anxiety and just feeling hopeless about, like, where am I going in life? Am I just going to be sick and aimless the rest of my life? And then when I received the insight that I wanted to go into the realm of healing and naturopathic medicine, all of a sudden it was like every cell in my body was just charged up with this energy of...
That's exactly what is and what was.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt so aligned, and I saw the direction in front of me. Okay, I'm going to take all these classes and study and blah 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 blah. And
there's a purpose to live.
Exactly. There was no question in my mind anymore about, I couldn't do that, I'm sick. It was just clear, like, I'm doing this.
Right. Yeah.
And part of me knew I was going to heal while I was doing it.
I remember having a patient when I was a medical student, and I asked her, I said, she was struggling with chronic digestive issues that were debilitating for her. And I asked her, so, when you feel better, what are you going to do with your life? Because her life was very much consumed by her symptoms, by her condition. And she looked at me and she said, and that kind of irritated her. And she was like, what do you mean? This is my life. I need to heal this. And I think that a lot of people are in that state of this is what I have to do. I have to heal this. And I think that is, having that clear intention to heal is powerful, and also, but not as powerful as having a real clear connection with your purpose. Mm-hmm. Because saying I want to heal is really just reaffirming that there's something wrong, mm-hmm. and just focusing on the wrong rather than focusing on the blessing of life, which is really the place where purpose stems from, is realizing and seeing and experiencing the blessings.
Yeah.
So wrapping this up.
Well, yes, wrapping this up, I want to say that the reason why these determinants of health support healing so much is not because they are in and of themselves the actual medicine. It's because it creates the healing environment and creates just this wonderful environment where there are no longer any obstacles, anything's getting in the way of the body healing itself. Because we haven't said it yet in this episode.
How have we not said that yet? Yes, for those of you out there, the body is healing itself. The food isn't, the air isn't, the water isn't, the relationships aren't, the purpose isn't. Those are just creating and sustaining the environment where healing happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when we take away all those obstacles and we provide the fuel and the building blocks that the body needs, it just takes care of itself. It knows exactly what to do to move towards a state of health. So,
on that note, we want to shift the conversation. I want to shift the conversation, if you're open to it, Susanna.
Sure.
To talking about really our purpose for a second.
Okay.
And really the fruits of our purpose and the fruits of our labor and our labor of love, which is delivering this information to people, and doing so through the form of podcasts and articles and Instagram posts and Facebook lives and Instagram lives and all the things. And I think that the way I'm feeling is that things get so shuffled around, and I'll listen to that later. That one didn't catch my attention. That must not be that important. And things just get so shuffled around, and everyone is chasing the shiny object. And I think that can also be a real obstacle to healing as well, just chasing the shiny object. The CBD, the resveratrol, I need the turmeric, what's the flavor of the week? So, my passion in these, last few months, years, I don't know, but I feel like I'm being focused on creating really reliable, honest, high quality, just information
that's
structured in a way that allows somebody to bite it, to eat it, to digest it, and to be guided in a way that's just naturally back into their healest, most healed, holiest, healediest, fullest, I don't know, into their optimal health. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we've been doing. Mm-hmm. We've been creating this guided path for individuals to walk along, and it's for individuals who are either, struggling, experiencing their symptoms, feeling unwell. You talk about how, I wish I had something like this when I was in the thick of it. It's for those kind of people, and it's also for people who really just want to continue living empowered, and maybe also sharing this sort of information with other people, because the more I look out in the world and the more I see people dizzy and confused about all the health information and, but, what should I eat, beans this week? What?
Yeah.
So having just a real touchstone, reliable source of dependable information that's pointing people to their optimal health. That's what I feel like that's my like calling.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, we've been teaching all along our podcast journey and all the blogs on our website and everything like that. And it's so great that it is out there. And at the same time,
Well, it's not all out there.
it's not all out
Yeah,
there.
it's
It's
like
true.
yeah, it's not all well, I'm sure all the information is out there in some way, but we haven't put it all out there.
Right. But that's really why we decided we need to put it all together. We need to piece it all together in a very methodical way.
Yeah.
That people can
Digest.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm just repeating you. So let's just say what it is that we made.
We made a baby.
No. Our baby will solve all of your problems. No, actually, there's no baby right now.
You can digest the baby one bite at a time.
We made a 6-week online medicinal living course.
It is. It is all of the determinants of health laid out in a really deep, structured way. All of the things that are the most powerful lifestyle, medicine, tools and strategies, and ways of living aligned with nature that support healing naturally. There's like, the way I see it, it's like if this path is followed to a T, there is no option but to live a healthy, fulfilled, connected life.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just no option.
I agree. And what this course really fosters is the cultivation of that deep understanding that is needed in order to really make sustainable change in one's life.
Yes, because I think that the whole philosophy around the self-healing body, the trust of the body, and also the trust of purpose and wisdom and that flow of connection that we all are connected with.
And understanding how food supports a healing state in the body, how important water is and why, and air and why.
Yeah, so in this course, we'll talk for just a couple more minutes about the course curriculum, which is 6 modules. It's broken into 6 weeks. Each week is 5 videos, which is intended to be 1 video a day. And we've got an introductory module where we're talking about philosophy, we're talking about how the body heals itself, we're giving some really concrete examples, we're providing an intention and visualization experience that points you into your self-healing potential, and we're guiding you into the next module, which is focusing on food, which along with module 3 and 4, we're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into food. The first is kind of nutritional science, understanding really how food supports the body and healing itself. The third module is more practical application of preparing food, grocery shopping, reading labels, navigating the relationship with food in a healthy way. And then module 4 is more like, going deeper and more talking about the psychology of food, as well as social situations, as well as some deep science regarding, misconceptions around a healing diet. And so the food stuff is really kind of the bulk of it because, and I think we created it that way because we've observed that, so many people are just so lost, so confused with regard to food. People have a good idea, and I think when people feel and resonate with the truth, they know it. But people, like we've kind of talked about, are so often distracted from the truth through shiny objects.
Yes. Yeah, and then module 5 is when we shift into air, water, and movement. And we do speak deeply on these topics. The reason why we don't spend as much time on these topics as we do on food is because I think that it's a lot easier for people to wrap their heads around.
There's not as deep of nutritional science with regard to hydration,
right.
But there is some really important information to know about how to properly hydrate to a cellular level,
exactly.
And also how to breathe to support your body in healing rather than just breathing to bring in air.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then the last module is dedicated to thoughts, relationship, and purpose. And this is where we're just going to get really, really deep into really understanding what is thought and how does it have power over the way we feel and the way that we act in the world?
Yeah.
And how can we relate to our relationships in a way that supports healing and purpose? And
So it's the, module 6 is a really important one, and I think that, people will probably be drawn to this course for different reasons. Maybe some people will be really into the food, some people will be really into the relationship and thought stuff, and some people will be maybe really into hydration and breath. But the point of the matter is that all of these blocks are very essential building blocks of the foundation of health, and they are all equally important. And that's really the take-home message that I feel like I'd like to drive home.
Yes. And I also want to say about this course, throughout the whole course, after every video, we have an action step for you to take. It will either be a reflective exercise or it will be like some real action step for you to take, whether it's in your kitchen or with your hydration or with your movement. And so we support the students, I guess I'll call them. We support the students in really engaging and really, putting energy into this course.
Yeah.
And these action steps are designed to really guide and support people in experiencing those shifts in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, I think the unspoken fact is that there is this universal principle of you kind of get what you put in, you get out what you put in. So yeah, the course is designed to support you in putting in everything that you can so that you can get out optimal health. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly. So the course launches on August 5th.
We are really excited about it.
But if you pre-register to the course, we will give you a special deal.
So pre-registration is open now, and you can get more information about this course at www.alter.health/course. And on this page, you will see that we are offering a 50% discount on the course for pre-registration before August 5th. And for listeners of this podcast, you guys, because I've never done this before. I've never taken a show to just promote myself and my work and what we're doing. We've never taken a whole show to just do that. But because we are going to offer you, the listeners of this podcast episode, an extra 10% off of this medicinal living course. So the course is 6 weeks and it's $600. That's the full price of the course. But we are offering a pre-registration discount of 50%, which brings it down to $300. And then you would get the course for $240, an extra $60 off the course. And this offer is only available until August 5th, until we launch the course, at which time you will no longer get these great discounts. And the reason why we're giving these discounts is because we want to get people in and experiencing it and providing some feedback, because we intend to always continue refining and up-leveling and pointing people into greater health more effectively, more efficiently. So we do appreciate you for being open and considering taking this course. And if you have any other questions, you can go to www.alter.health/course. And the coupon code, you guys, the coupon code is real easy. Don't share it with your friends. This one's for you. It's early bird.
All caps, one word.
All caps, one word. Early bird.
And if you think about the value of this course, I mean, what does it come down to with the discount spend?
$240 for 6 weeks. Yeah.
$240 for an opportunity to completely transform your health and your life.
Honestly, this is, from my perspective, if you guys are like DIY people out there, this is the ultimate DIY health transformation, because we can really not do this extent of work one-on-one with individuals. We do work one-on-one with individuals.
I mean, we could over the course of a year.
We could, and we would over the course of the year. But yes, I think it would take about a year to really get this information transmitted and absorbed and digested as we have done in this course. So that's a good point. It just takes so much longer to get the information out there when it is a dialogue, when it is a relationship that's relating around an individual's health. So for DIY self-healers out there, this is your course for mastering lifestyle medicine. It's called Medicinal Living, and we hope you truly enjoy it.
We put so much love into this product, and we're just so excited to put it out there in the world.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your time and attention. Do you have anything else to wrap up with?
No, I don't.
I guess we don't have anything else that we'd like to share. So if you do have any other questions or would like to connect, you can also send an email over to info@alter.health. And once again, we truly honor and respect your time and your commitment to your health. And we so look forward to supporting you in any way that we can, either through this course, through our, what is it called again? Our healing community.
Our Alter Health healing community.
That's another way that we might be able to support you. But anyways, we're just so excited about the course if that hasn't come through properly yet. So
Yes.
I'll stop blabbering. We're going to stop blabbering. And we're going to send you back into your life.
Hope you have a beautiful evening.
Have a beautiful evening. Peace and love. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye for now.